morning and welcome to Morning Coach Today. I am so glad you're with us. Hey, it's JB Glossinger here, ready to rock and roll. It is episode number 4,392. It is a Monday. We have got a fantastic week going for you. As you know, we're into metaphysics this month. If you haven't had a chance to check on the compass, go over to morningcoach.com. Just look at the compass, see exactly the topics we're doing this month. Excited. Working the Get It Done Now plan. We are in a check month with the event coming up next week, getting together with a wonderful group of people, but if you can't make it down, we're still looking at your plan to run through the last quarter here, kind of really get it all organized and going, because then as we get into December, obviously we're getting ready to make 2022 phenomenal. But today, like I said, we are going to get into a really great week of understanding surrender. And this is a real deep topic. And so what we're going to do is today we're starting off with surrender, the idea of letting go and the power of it. We're going to talk a little bit about Michael Singer and his work, and also Dr. Hawkins. So we're going to get into that today. Tomorrow, stepping back to our book study again, chapters 7 through 10, Three Magic Words, the metaphysical new thought work by Ewell S. Anderson that we're working on. Wednesday, does surrender mean giving up? This is going to be a good one. Does surrender mean to give up? That's what we're going to talk about Wednesday. We'll address that a little bit today. Thursday, of course, is Ask a JB. We love that day. Always get your questions answered. Friday, 22nd, wonderful day. It's double deuces. We're going to talk about financial patience and belief, letting go of the want. Saturday, our System Saturday, we've got Getting Things Out of Mind, the Surrender Notebook. And then on Sunday, we've got Understanding Flow and Allowing Things to Work for You. So we got a packed week this week of coaching, of really helping you move forward. And this idea of surrender is a really, really great one. And I want to get into it in depth today so that you can start to apply it in your life. Now, a lot of the work and study that I've done on surrendering has come from Michael Singer. I want to give credit where credit is due. He wrote the Surrender Experiment and also The Untethered Life. Two amazing books I think everybody should have in their library. And then, of course, all the Dr. Hawkins works I love, but his book, Letting Go, is probably, to me, even better than Power versus Force. I absolutely love the work. And the reason I do is because when we look at life in general, and of course, we're talking a little more metaphysics here, is that these gentlemen have spoken about how they surrendered in life to allow things to work for them. Now, I'm going to talk about this Wednesday, that surrender doesn't mean giving up. When we did the book study a few years ago with Michael Singer, you know, people were saying, well, doesn't surrender just mean to wave the white flag? No, in this case, it's really important we understand this week what we mean by surrender. What we mean by surrender is to give up to what is brought into your life. So the book, The Surrender Experiment, which I really like, it's Michael Singer basically wanting to live life, and he just decided that he was going to give up on and just let anything that happen to him, throw himself into it. So, you know, he there's all these different experiments that he did where, you know, he decided to build a house, right? So he started building the house, and people came to him and said, hey, could you build my house? The next thing you know, he's got a construction company, and then he had to figure out how to do the accounting software. He's like, well, I can't find it, but the urge is to build an accounting software, so he built the accounting software. And then that became a billion-dollar company. And the progress that he was talking about as his life, as surrendering, is when things came into his life, he's like, okay, it's here, let's go do it, right? Instead of forcing things. So, you know, we've got our Get It Done Now plan. And part of that plan is flexibility. And part of that plan is to allow us to be able to surrender that things that come into our life. So it's not about giving up. It's actually the opposite. It's about giving everything you can into it. So it's like, okay, I'm hearing this, you know, and I should go do this because I'm hearing it. So one of the things that keeps appearing in my life lately has been cryptos, right? So cryptos is a currency. It's another way to develop wealth. It's an interesting thing. And I just am like, man, I'm going to learn it. Keep showing up in my life. There must be a reason for that. Right? So as you're living your life, there are things that will show up, and they just continually show up, and you're like, one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to avoid them or you surrender to it. And that's what the basis of this is that when things are consistently showing up, you start to surrender to it, and you throw yourself into it, and you learn it, and you get better at it, and you just keep working it. A good example of that is me now moving into the athletic world. It's like I'm surrendering to it. I mean, athletes are coming to me. They're calling me because they want help, professional athletes around the world. And it's exciting. I love it. So I surrendered to it and I'm good at it. But I'm allowing myself to do it because I've surrendered to it. The other thing is I've got some journals coming out. Obviously, we have the 2022 Get It Done Now planner. It is done. It's now up on Amazon. The phone book is there. I'll send a link to it. But we're doing some really cool stuff with that. And again, it's this thing that keeps showing up like, man, I need to do this. Just like what we're doing on the marketing side, it was like, okay, this is showing up. Throw yourself into it. And I think the idea or the concept, especially singers' work, is to not have all these expectations, right? Just go live your life, surrender to it, and give whatever you can to the things that are coming into your life. So the idea then is really we are now going back to one of our foundational principles. And what is that foundational principle? To be aware. To be aware, because you are on a journey, you're on a path that nobody else is on. I mean, this is yours. You're blazing a trail. You're writing your story, right? Every chapter is a different thing. Some chapters close, some chapters open, and we're constantly progressing forward. And you've got to be open to what comes into your life at a particular time, and then you throw yourself into it and get better at it, or you decide not to. And I think this is where a lot of people live fearfully. And they have fear of the unknown. And I think the work that was put out by Hawkins and by Michael Singer is saying, just don't be so afraid. Trust that the greater good is conspiring for you. And I always talk about statements that I have that I use when I'm a little stressed out or I don't think things are working the way they should. And one of those is, the greater good is conspiring for me, right? That's a great one. I mean, what a great belief to have, that everything is as it should be in this moment. And you got to be aware of what is coming into your life. It's also why I talk about awareness so much as far as stepping back once in a while, taking a break, and really evaluating what is happening in your life. You know, with a lot of the CEOs I work with, and when they first come on, and if they're having issues with their career or they're having issues with staff or their company, we'll talk about them being a consultant. We'll say, if you're a consultant, and you would have bought your current business in the condition that it is right now, and you walked in the door and you didn't know what it was, and you started to analyze it, what would the difference be? And so what I like to do is create that awareness, again, of stepping back and looking at it from a like in an airplane at 30,000 feet and going, okay, what's really going on here? Because in life, we get so close to it that we don't realize how many cool things are really happening around us to help us. And so that's what I'm saying. When you have these urges and you have things coming your direction, you throw yourself into them without expectation. Expectation is really critical. And that is the direction that we're going on. Now, of course, we've got the Get It Done Now plan. And why I say it's inherently flexible is because as you live your life, there are things that are going to change. There are dramatic things in your life that happen. A marriage is a good one of them. A divorce is one of those. Children is a big one. It could be a windfall of money coming in. It could be a windfall or a loss of money going out. It could be a change in the economy. You know, it could be the COVID thing. It could be political ramifications, right? We have people all over the world. We've got a huge Australian contingent, and they're dealing with all types of things. So you got to be able to step back within the framework of your plan and go, okay, where does this fit? And if we look at the Sacred Six, the idea is that we always have these projects going on, right? And if something keeps showing up, like for me, it's really what is showing up a lot is YouTube, cryptos. Those things are just showing up in my life, like on my doorstep. Like, hello, wake up, McFly, to do a Back to the Future reference, right? Knock it on my head. What are you doing? This is, you need to be doing this, right? And when you step back and you see that, you're like, okay, I see it. I'm going to throw myself into it. I'm going to get the cameras. I'm going to allow things to come into my life when it occurs, and it'll happen. And again, cameras, photography, all that stuff I've discussed. I was terrible at that 5 years ago. I didn't even know how to do it. Now I'm actually an expert. I wouldn't say an expert, but I'm getting there. I'm learning exposure and f-stops and all these things, and it's allowing me to create content better and faster. But also one of the things it's doing is it's allowing me to be able to look for other resources that can help me create my content better and faster, right? So the idea then is, as we go forward this week, we're going to talk about this term surrender. Wednesday, after our book study tomorrow, we're going to get into the depth of really understanding, it's not quitting. And I think that's the key. Like, it's a weird word when you think about it. When you think of surrender, you think of the white flag going up. And if we think militarily, it's like you're giving up, But we are giving up. We're giving up to pushing away from what's coming into your life. If YouTube keeps coming into my life, it's like, okay, do it then. Surrender to it. Just allow it to be. It's here. Go do it. If the crypto thing is like, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's get after it and learn it and do it without expectation. That's the really key. And you've got to, then what you do is you just start living your life. And I think that's the big thing from Singer that he really taught, was you just live your life. Here you are living, you're going along, somebody knocks on the door, they ask for something, you do it, and you start throwing it in there. Now, I wouldn't say it's particularly like Yes Man, if you remember the Jim Carrey movie where he just said yes to everything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the clues that life leaves are out there. And this is where, for me, one of the most important things that you can do is to hone your intuition, where you're constantly understanding the way you feel about certain things. You got to really hone that intuition. I'm getting better at this. I'm usually pretty good at knowing it, specifically with other people. Like if people are working or not working, I know. It's like I got this intuitive feel. Same thing with opportunities that come. It's like a really good feeling for me, right? And I think that's what, as a coach, helps me out a lot when I'm working with people, is that when we're in an event or if we're one-on-one, I really can feel what needs to be done. And again, I always say that I am the messenger, not the message, right? So the message is coming through me. I'm not the messenger. And I think that's really important because that is what led me here. This is a great example. I surrendered to doing podcasting, so many years ago, right? It's been almost 16 years. It's crazy. And look where I'm at today and the things that are going on. It is nuts. I surrendered to golf. I got into it. Now I coach professional golfers. There's so many things I could tell you in my life that I've just surrendered to and just believed and just went out there and started living day by day. So what I want you to tell you today then, as we go out on this Monday, is we've got to start to learn to let go and understand what that means. We're not giving up. We're not living a very lazy kind of mentality where it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to give up and whatever comes my way, I'm just going to go. No, you're going to throw yourself into it. And that's the opposite. When I look at YouTube, I threw myself into it. Okay, what cameras do I need? I got a Panasonic GH5. That was the first one. Then I went to Sony. Why do I need this? I got to watch videos on it. What do I do? You throw yourself into it. And I think that's the opposite of what a lot of people, when they get initially exposed to this type of teaching, that they start going, oh, okay, surrender, then I just give up and sit back and let things happen. It's just the same thing with The Secret and the Law of Attraction. Action is the last word in attraction. We've got to be able to take action, and we got to progress forward. And that's why, to me, when we started Get It Done Now a couple years ago, it really was important to me to get people moving. It's great to be educated. It's another thing to actually progress and do something and take action. And that's what I kept seeing over time, is that we just couldn't get everybody moving in the right direction. And by putting a plan together, now we have this overall mission, and we're going to keep working on that. Your North Star, how we put somebody on the moon, that's your mission for next year. What is that mission? And then, we start taking action based on that, and we allow things to come into your life. Can the mission change? Of course. And that's what's beautiful about our system, is that we can change course if we need to based on what is coming into our life. And again, I think we've all had the new understanding of the way life can change rapidly with COVID and the things that have happened around us. The people that are surviving are the ones that have surrendered to it, figured out new ways to do things, and have made them happen. And that's what I want to help you do, So let's let go. Let's let go and go after it today and really focus on surrendering to the wonderful things that are out here and making it happen. Okay, so surrender, let go, and live life. That's what it's about. I love you. Get out there, have a great one, and we're going to make it happen today and this week on morningcoach.com. Go do it to it.